So let me try to explain here how basketball kind of works, and I'm going to use some things that you guys understand pretty well. Hockey and Rocket League, and I think I'm going to do my best to try to make this all make a lot of sense for you guys. So first thing we need to get into is how the positions in basketball work and how they basically parallel hockey pretty significantly. So obviously we identify positions by their names, but we also identify them by numbers. So one being the point guard, two shooting guard, three small forward, four power forward, and five center. So how these parallel hockey is number one, the point guard's basically the center. Two and three, the shooting guard and small forward are basically your wings. And four and five, your power forward and your center are basically your defensemen, if that makes sense. That's why I've been trying to communicate to you guys and trying to find a way to communicate that we need to have somebody play the two or the three because we need a wing. Basically, we're playing the threes, which again is a lot like NHL threes, but right now we're playing with a center and two defensemen instead of having a wing. We need somebody else that's got some more offensive prowess to balance out the squad. So that's kind of step one. So basically, the way you see this laid out is basically how you line up for offense and defense, which is a little bit different than hockey because again, in hockey, the the wings in the center would be closest to the net on offense, and the defenseman would be at the point, or as we call it in basketball, the front court and the back court. So the net being up here, this is called the front court. Back here would be called the back court. And you've got your point guard and your wings are going to be the ones primarily playing on what's called the perimeter, which is, again, outlined pretty clearly by the 3 point line, or in hockey, which would be similar to the blue line. And obviously, you've got your big men, your power forward and center, your four and five that play down by the net. Now, conversely, on defense, it looks about the same. So if you think about this upside down, you've got your point guard and your wings guarding the perimeter, and then you've got your big men, your defensemen, which is here's where it's more like hockey, defending down by the net. So hopefully that helps it make a little bit more sense as to how things are kind of supposed to lay out. Um, and I'll get into it a little deeper here in just a second. All right. So, in terms of three man, there's a couple of things that we need to keep in mind. So, number one, this area here, this little box inside here, or actually including the little half circle here for the free throw line, is called the key. So in basketball, there is what's called the 3 second rule. So you're not allowed to sit inside here for more than 3 seconds. So you got to kind of play. You can come in, but then you got to get back out. It's kind of weird. It's almost like a goalie crease, but it's just one of the rules of basketball. So basically, again, I talk about this triangle, right? And again, similar to hockey, it's kind of how our offense needs to operate is sort of like a triangle, right? So we've got our whoever is going to run the big man down low, the two on the perimeter, and myself on the one. And I'm just running 1, 2, 3 for now. One of you guys will actually be a 4 or 5, but you get the point. So 1, 2, 3, and that's sort of how the offense runs, in defense as well, but primarily offense. Myself here being the ball carrier. I mean, we can run the offense in various different ways, but I like to use picks and screens just because we don't really have the attributes right now to play ISO, which is isolation, which would mean you guys get basically playing one-on-one ball, and we're not going to win a lot of one-on-ones. So we need to generate ways to get open shots. So really, the two ways that I like to do it, I'm going to bring some defense out here just for the time being, just so you guys get an idea of the kind of things that we're going to have to do. So the first thing I like to do is just your basic pick and roll. So you would have Lawrence, or whoever the big man is, setting a screen here. Me being right-handed, it's a little more convenient for me to go to the right side. So you'd set the screen to my right of the defender. I would go this way. And then from here, I have two reads. I have a shot, or pass here. James would slide down here more to the corner. So I'm just gonna move this here. So I have two reads, or actually, truthfully, I have a third read because after this point, Lawrence comes up and sets the screen here, and then following the screen, again, here's where we start talking hockey again. Oops, not what I meant to do there. Bam. So that's how your basic pick and roll works. Lawrence sets the screen, I roll to the right, and then I have three reads off of that. I have a shot, I have a pass to the wing to James, or I have Lawrence going to the back door. Again, just like hockey, we've got three reads. And that's how this thing basically works. That's how the basic pick and roll offense kind of works, and that's why we have the triangle. Again, it should, I know this looks kind of complicated, but again, Lawrence or James, whoever's the big man, comes up, sets the screen, I roll to the right, and then once I clear, whoever sets the screen rolls to the back door. So I have three reads. I can shoot, I can pass to the perimeter, or I can pass to the back door for a dunk. And that's your basic pick and roll offense. Number two is the off-ball screen. So the way an off-ball screen would work is whoever the two is, come down to the corner. The three, oops, they don't want me to do that. The three sets a screen here. The two cuts here. And in theory, this three is going to follow here. So three sets the screen. In theory, now the two should be here, and I can hit him, bang, open shot. So you've got your off-ball screen, you've got your pick and roll. Those are really the two basic offensive, and then again, it kind of just rotates. Again, talking about like with Rocket League or really anything else. Okay, so I'm going to delete that cut. So again, we got the screen, the cut, I throw that pass, and then where do I go? I roll from here to the back door following that pass. Lawrence or whoever can either sit here on the perimeter to give a second pass. You can come back down underneath. If the defender follows, you could come set another and start another pick and roll. Again, it rotates. And that's pretty much how I'm going to lay out offense working. And it pretty much, we can practice this and make it a lot more simple. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of kind of what we're working on here. It rotates. So you think about it like hockey. Defense in basketball is a lot like hockey, where again, because you're not really, if somebody takes a long shot, you're not shot blocking. So you don't need to sit in front of the net if you're the big man. If you're playing off-ball defense, you're basically just, again, we're in man coverage. You're defending passes. You want to make it as uncomfortable as possible for the guy, the ball carrier, in this case, the one, to be able to make a pass. So again, you're underneath, you're between the player and the net. And when we're playing guys that don't have as high of attributes, we want to play on our perimeter a bit more conservative. We'd rather force them to try to hit threes than we would letting them go to the hoop for obvious reasons. It's an easier basket. But where the three comes into play and why the big man is so important and why you need to have size is a couple of things. Number one, if one of us gets beat, if this one beats me to the hole, okay, now you need to step up. And now that's your guy. Your job as the three or as the defenseman is you got to protect the net. You got to follow. You got to get between that ball carrier. And there's no goalie, so we're not worried about playing the pass. You got to step up and make sure nobody gets to the hole. And then again, the rotation happens. Two can drop to cover this guy. I shoot out and go to this guy on the perimeter, and that's where the rotation is. You never ever let guys go to the basket with the ball. That's the big thing. And if you're now again, things can happen, right? Like teams, especially in threes, might want to spread the court. And in which case, again, say this guy's sitting out on the perimeter. Well, number one, we want to be a little more conservative because odds are bigger guys aren't going to be as good at three-point shooters. That's just odds, right? So whoever the three is, you got to be a little bit conservative because one of your major responsibilities on defense outside of protecting the rim is rebounds. So you got to be able, if a shot goes up, you got to be able to be here to steal that rebound because that's how we're going to get possessions. And we have to have rebounds. That's one spot where we've been getting crushed is we just get out-rebounded like crazy. So we got to make sure that we're in a spot to get rebounds, and also if one of our guys here gets beat, that we're stepping up and we're defending that guy, we're shot blocking and forcing bad shots, bad layups, stuff like that. And that's basically how defense works. I don't know if there's really a lot more to talk about than that. That's pretty much, how the rotation in defense works. The last thing I'll throw out there is, again, if they start, I don't see too many people running screens and threes, which is why I like it. But again, let's say that happens. Okay, bam, this guy comes up and sets a screen. 3 follows. And 2 follows here. Well, what happens? If this guy beats me around the screen, okay, again, like in hockey, step up, bam. Now that's your guy. I follow the roll. And James Easter or whoever the 2 is still defending this pass here to the corner, taking away the options. Again, to me, it's so incredibly simple, but I understand to people who have never seen it how it can be a little bit complicated. But you just got to think about it a little more like hockey, really, and it really is incredibly similar.